She looked at me across the table and said, "Since I earn more, I should have more control in our relationship." I didn't argue. I just said, "You're right." And then I stopped covering all the things I'd quietly been paying for. The following week, her carefully crafted Excel spreadsheet told the real story. At the time, I was 29, dating Lila, 27. We'd been together for 3 years, and she dropped that little bombshell during what I thought was just going to be an ordinary Tuesday night dinner. We'd moved in together only 6 months earlier, into a decent 2-bedroom place. It wasn't luxury, but it had exposed brick walls that she absolutely adored and a balcony I loved because it meant I could grill. The rent was $2,400 a month. She poked at her pad thai and finally spoke. "You know, I've been thinking. I make $85,000 a year while you only make $65,000. Doesn't it make sense that I should have a bigger say in our financial decisions? It's only fair." I set my fork down and asked, "What do you mean by more say?" "Well, things like where we go on vacation, what furniture we buy, which streaming services we keep. Since I contribute more, my vote should weigh more," she explained. And she wasn't lying about our salaries. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, which definitely paid more than my job as a technical writer for a software company. But what Lila chose to overlook were all the other expenses I'd been shouldering on my own. So I took a sip of beer and said, "You're absolutely right. Your money, your rules." She blinked, caught off guard that I didn't push back. "Really? You're not going to argue with me?" "Not at all. Starting tomorrow, we'll split everything proportionally to our incomes. That's only fair, right?" Her face lit up. She leaned over, kissed me, and said, "I knew you'd get it. This is why we're such a good team." Later that night, I sat down and built my own spreadsheet. See, Lila had this funny habit of remembering only the parts of our finances that worked in her favor. Sure, she pulled in the bigger paycheck, but here's what she conveniently forgot. Her car insurance? I covered it $180 a month because I had a multi-car discount. The internet? That was on me too, $95 a month, since I worked from home more often. Groceries? I handled about 80% of them because I was usually the one doing the shopping. Her gym membership? Still sitting on my credit card, $120 a month, from back when she was between jobs 2 years ago. Streaming services? All 5 accounts were under my name, totaling about $75 monthly. Her phone? Still tied to my family plan, $45 a month, so she could save money. The very next morning, I set the new plan in motion. First step, I texted her, "Porting your number to a new carrier. You'll need to set up your own phone plan today." Her reply came almost instantly, "WTF? Why?" I shot back, "Because you earn more now. You should have your own plan. I'm sure you'll find an even better deal." Then I removed her car from my insurance and sent her the number of my State Farm agent. I changed all the passwords on Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, and Prime. I even canceled her gym membership, effective immediately. By lunchtime, my phone was buzzing nonstop. I was stuck in a meeting and couldn't answer, but when I finally checked, I had 23 unread messages, each one angrier than the last. That evening, she was waiting for me in the living room with her laptop open. "What the hell is your problem? I couldn't even watch my show at lunch, and Planet Fitness says my membership is canceled." I stayed calm. "I'm just applying your new system. Since you earn more, you should be paying for your own things. From now on, I'll cover 43% of our shared costs. You'll take care of 57%. That lines up with our incomes." "That's not what I meant," she snapped. "Then what did you mean?" I asked. She hesitated, then pulled up her Excel sheet. "Look, I made a budget. See? I'm paying more in rent." I opened my laptop. "Actually, let me show you what I've been paying." Her face went pale as my numbers filled the screen. Once everything was laid out, it turned out that, even with her bigger salary, I was spending about $400 more each month than she was. She scrambled. But I bought dinner a couple times last month. I have the receipts. This is financial abuse." I leaned back and said, "No, this is exactly what you asked for. Expenses divided fairly, based on income." Update 1. Lila didn't take the lesson well. First, she tried the guilt trip method. She made this big show of cooking dinner, though it was just Trader Joe's orange chicken reheated in a skillet, and laid it on thick with the sweetness. "Baby, I think we both overreacted. Let's just go back to the way things were." I smiled, ate a bite, and said, I like the new setup just fine. Great chicken, by the way. She slammed her fork down. You're being petty. Nope. I'm being proportional. Your word, not mine. That's when she escalated to the nuclear option, calling her mom Marjorie. And Marjorie is the type of mom who thinks her daughter walks on water and her farts smell like roses. Without telling me, Lila put her on speakerphone. I cannot believe you're financially controlling my daughter, Marjorie shrieked. I leaned in. Hi, Marjorie. Actually, Lila decided she should have more control since she makes more money. I'm just respecting her wishes by letting her pay for her own phone, like any adult would. Lila's face turned red. She snatched the phone and hung up. But here's where it got interesting. Remember how I mentioned Lila's job in pharmaceutical sales? Well, she had this big out-of-state conference coming up. She'd been bragging for weeks about the networking, the connections, maybe even a promotion. The problem for her was that I'd been the one covering all the things that made traveling easier. Her TSA pre-check was on my card. All the airline miles? Mine. Even her Uber rides were charged to our shared account, also mine. So Thursday night, she approached me real quiet. So, about the conference. I didn't even look up from my sandwich. What about it? I need to book my flight. Okay. The company only reimburses after the trip. Sounds like their policy hasn't changed. Her jaw tightened. Can I borrow your credit card? Just for the flight? I shook my head. Why would I do that? You make more money than me. Shouldn't you have savings? That's when she exploded. She accused me of sabotaging her career, of being insecure about her success, of being a pathetic little man who couldn't handle a strong woman. I let her rant. When she was finished, I calmly asked, Are you done? Because Jeopardy's about to start. She hurled a coaster at me, missed completely. That night, Lila must have gone down her entire contact list, because suddenly my Instagram inbox was lighting up. Her friends were firing off messages left and right, accusing me of being toxic, manipulative, and every other buzzword they could think of. Her best friend, Tessa, even sent me a voice note, practically shouting that I was literally abusing Lila. I didn't bother writing out long replies. I just sent each of them the same line. She makes 20 grand more than me. She said she deserves more financial control, and I agreed. How exactly is that abuse? Out of all of them, only one person, her friend Rowan, actually wrote back. Wait, she makes more than you? She told us you were controlling all the money because you earn double what she does. I didn't even argue. I just dropped a screenshot of Lila's own Excel sheet, plain as day, with both our salaries right there. Rowan left me on read and never followed up. Update 2. By Sunday morning, Lila had prepared what she clearly thought was her slam dunk. She strutted into the living room with her iPad, opened it like she was about to deliver a TED Talk, and announced, I've been tracking everything, and here's what I've discovered. She had the whole thing color-coded, complete with little pie charts and bar graphs. According to her analysis, once you factored in what she called emotional labor and aesthetic contributions, she was actually the one carrying the relationship. I'm not exaggerating. She had line items that read like this: interior design consulting, $500 a month, apparently because she picked out throw pillows. Social coordinator, $300 a month, for replying to Instagram comments on our couple's photos. Meal planning, $200 a month, though her version of planning was scrolling through DoorDash and picking Thai or sushi. Relationship maintenance, $400 a month. I honestly still have no clue what that even meant. She looked at me triumphantly. So actually, when you add it all up, you owe me money. I couldn't help it. I laughed out loud. You're billing me for imaginary services now? They're not imaginary. I make our apartment a home. You bought 3 throw pillows from Target. I shot back. It's about the aesthetic, she snapped. That's when I decided to drop my own little bombshell. Cool. Then I'll be billing you for my services too. I pulled up my phone and started rattling off charges. IT support, $150 an hour, for every time I fixed her laptop. Car maintenance, $200 a month, since I handled the oil changes for both cars. Handyman services, $500 a month, because I assembled all the furniture and hung up the pictures. Personal trainer, $100 a session, since she insisted I spot her during workouts. Accounting services, $300 a month, because I filed both our taxes. Her voice shot up an octave. That's ridiculous. More ridiculous than charging me for throw pillows? She grabbed her iPad and stormed off. The funny part? She forgot to close the spreadsheet. When I picked it up later, I noticed a couple of other tabs at the bottom. One of them was labeled Exit Strategy. I clicked it, and what I found made my jaw drop. She had an entire timeline written out, planning to dump me after she landed her promotion. The whole thing was mapped. 2 more months of me covering her bills, promotion, and bonus in hand. Then she'd cut ties. She even had apartment listings bookmarked. I snapped pictures of everything. Then I texted my landlord to ask about the lease. Turns out, since only my name was on it, Lila had brushed off adding hers, saying she'd get to it later. I had the power to give 30 days notice whenever I wanted. I started looking for my own place that same day. Update 3. Lila ended up missing her big conference. She couldn't afford the upfront cost of the flights or hotel. Her company only reimbursed after travel, and her credit cards were already maxed from trying to keep up her lifestyle without my help. That's when it all clicked. She'd been living paycheck to paycheck the entire time. While I was paying for the unglamorous stuff, bills, groceries, car insurance, she was blowing her money on clothes, nights out, and keeping up appearances. Her boss was furious. The conference was where they announced the new territory assignments, and because she missed it, she didn't get the region she wanted. She came home crying that night, mascara streaking down her cheeks. For half a second, I almost felt bad. Then I remembered the Exit Strategy tab. "This is all your fault," she sobbed. "I'm going to get fired." "You're not getting fired. You're just not getting promoted." I told her flatly. "How would you know?" she snapped. "Because you're good at your job. You're just terrible with money." She tried to snuggle up to me on the couch. "Baby, please. I'm sorry about the spreadsheet. I was being stupid. Can we just go back to normal?" I raised an eyebrow. "Define normal." "You know, the way things were. Where I pay for everything while you secretly plan to dump me?" She froze. "What?" "I saw your Exit Strategy tab." The silence was deafening. Finally, she stammered. "That was theoretical. Everyone does that sometimes. Everyone maps out a breakup down to the moving company they'd hire." Her voice cracked, and she started crying again. But these weren't sad tears. These were angry tears. "You went through my private stuff," she accused. "You left it open on our shared iPad," I reminded her. "That's still an invasion of privacy. Like you telling your friends I was financially abusing you while you're the one making more money?" She shot up from the couch. "I want you out." I stayed calm. "That's fine. I already gave notice. I'll be gone in 2 weeks. Her eyes widened. "What?" "Yeah. Found myself a nice little studio closer to work. Rent's $1,400. Amazing what you can afford when you're not subsidizing someone else's lifestyle." The realization hit her like a truck. "Wait. The lease is only in your name?" "Yep. But where am I supposed to go?" "You make $85,000 a year. I'm sure you'll figure it out." She didn't give up easily. Over the next 2 weeks, she pulled out every trick in the book. First came the love bombing. She started making me coffee in the mornings, though one time she accidentally used salt instead of sugar. She'd strut around in the lingerie I bought her last Christmas. She even pretended to be into my video games. When that didn't stick, she switched to manipulation. Her Instagram filled with throwback couple photos captioned things like, "Remember when we were happy?" and "Some people give up too easily." Her mom chimed in with comments like, "Don't let pride ruin true love." Then came the threats. She told me she'd call my employer and accuse me of harassment. I showed her the security camera footage of her throwing things at me. She threatened to sue me for illegal eviction. I handed her the lease with only my name on it. Finally, she tried bargaining. "What if I pay all the rent? You can live here for free." I laughed. "With what money? You couldn't even cover a plane ticket." "I'll get a second job," she insisted. "You can't even handle the one you've got." When moving day came, she trailed after me around the apartment, wailing. Not crying, wailing. The kind of sound you'd expect at a funeral. "You're really leaving? You're really throwing away 3 years together?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No. You threw it away the day you made that spreadsheet planning your exit." She shrieked. "That was just fantasy." "So, what you really thought I'd just stand here and let you treat me like some kind of walking ATM?" I shoved the last box into the trunk of my car. She stood in the doorway, mascara streaking down her cheeks, looking like her whole world was ending. You'll regret this. Nobody will ever love you the way I do. God, I muttered, slamming the trunk shut. I really hope not. Final update. I'm writing this from my new place. It's nothing fancy, small, a little plain, but it's mine. No throw pillows, no unnecessary decor, no aesthetic contributions. Just my stuff, exactly where I want it, untouched by anyone else's demands. So here's how things shook out for everyone. Lila had to crawl back home to her parents. The apartment lease required proof of income, 3 times the rent, and even with her salary, she couldn't qualify without someone co-signing. Her dad flat out refused. You're 27, he told her. Figure it out. Last week, she texted me. Living with my parents is hell. My dad makes me pay rent, and my mom won't even do my laundry. I didn't bother answering. Her friend Rowan actually reached out to apologize. Apparently, Lila had been spreading lies about me for years, telling people I controlled all the money, that I micromanaged her spending, that she had to ask me for permission before buying anything. When the truth finally came out, Lila admitted she couldn't afford to go to Tessa's birthday dinner and explained why. Rowan was furious. She owes me like $500, Rowan told me. Every time I covered her, she said it was because you wouldn't let her spend. Then there was that promotion Lila swore up and down she was destined for. The company ended up giving it to her coworker, the one who actually went to the conference Lila refused to attend. That coworker? Chloe. The same Chloe Lila had trashed for months as being too basic for sales. Chloe now pulls in $95,000 a year. Lila's mom, Marjorie, even called me once. I hope you're happy, she hissed. You've ruined my daughter's life. Really? I shot back. She makes $85,000 a year, has a master's degree, and the biggest tragedy in her life is having to buy a used Honda. If that's ruined, that's on her. You're a small, petty man, she snapped. And your daughter's a spoiled brat who never learned that actions come with consequences. Wonder where she picked that up. She hung up on me after that. But the real kicker? Remember that ridiculous exit strategy spreadsheet? Well, Lila must have forgotten that her iPad was still synced with her Google account, which meant I had a front row seat to her search history. 2 days before her big I make more money speech, she was Googling how to get boyfriend to pay more bills. Financial gaslighting techniques. Making partner feel guilty about money. Why should higher earner pay more? She had been plotting the whole thing, trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty about my income so I'd overpay and let her coast. But she overplayed her hand, and in the end, she played herself. The last update I got through mutual friends? She's dating some wannabe crypto king named Trent. The guy keeps promising he's about to moon with his NFT collection. Meanwhile, her Instagram is full of fancy dinner photos where, if you look close, you can literally see her credit card getting declined in the reflection of his sunglasses. Me? I started seeing Elise from my cycling group. Whole different world. She earns her own money, pays her own bills, and when we go out, she actually offers to split the check. I know it sounds basic, but it blew my mind. The first time she Venmo'd me for her half of dinner, I almost teared up. She thought I was having some kind of allergic reaction to the Thai food. No, I told her, laughing. I'm just not used to dating an actual adult. She laughed back. Wow, the bar's really that low? Low? I said. It wasn't even on the ground. It was buried underground. Next month, Elise and I are heading to Colorado. We're splitting everything right down the middle. She even made a spreadsheet to track the expenses, just a normal, practical one. No emotional labor fees. No made-up aesthetic contributions. Just actual costs divided fairly. The other day, my buddy asked if I ever regretted how things ended with Lila. Do I regret not pouring money into someone who was actively planning to dump me? Do I regret financing the lifestyle of a woman who thought I was pathetic? Do I regret finally standing up for myself when she tried to treat me like a wallet with legs? I opened my banking app. For the first time in 3 years, I had real savings. Nah, I told him. Best decision I've ever made. Oh, and Lila's last text to me? She sent it at 2 a.m. Last Saturday. Trent's NFTs were a scam. Can I borrow $500? I promise I'll pay you back. I sent her a link to Indeed. Calm. Then I blocked her number. Cool. Edit. For everyone asking how I stayed calm. Trust me, I wasn't calm. I was furious. But I learned a long time ago that the best revenge isn't yelling or fighting. It's letting people deal with the mess their own choices created. Lila wanted financial control based on income. Well, she got it, just not the way she planned. Edit 2. To the folks saying I should have communicated better, believe me, I tried. For 2 solid years, I tried to have real conversations about fair splits. Every time, she brushed it off with, "We'll figure it out later." Or "It all evens out." The second she thought she could squeeze more out of me, suddenly it was an issue. Edit 3. And no, I'm not taking her back. Stop DMing me about second chances. She had 3 years of chances. She chose manipulation, spreadsheets, and control games. I'm done.